died whilst waiting for their children. And when you look at the faces of how young they are, you can understand the trauma that the parents and the children must have faced in the 2 weeks since they've been in captivity. I believe that whilst we celebrate on one hand the fact that these children are back home, which is what we have been calling for, and salute the efforts of all the security stakeholders who secured their release, the bigger question, in order for us to have that assurance that we won't see a reoccurrence or that we are proactive, is an apprehension of the terrorists who abducted them in the first place, a full going through of the justice system, facing prosecution. If found guilty, let us see the penalties for that, because this also acts as a deterrent for those who might have an idea of going into this life of criminality and terrorism, not to do it that if you dare venture into this, you will be caught, you will be found out, and you will face the full wrath of the law. Unfortunately, that assurance is not there. Instead, it looks as if there's some form of negotiation. It's not just about payment of ransom. It's also the fact that it seems there's a similitude of negotiations happening, and this government has continued to maintain that they will not negotiate with terrorists. It means that somebody is lying.
All right.
Ayo, you're spot on. You asked the question, Oji, where are the terrorists? Please ask the government that knows them so well, that they romance themselves, that they call them on the phone to release people, that they can even give you blow-by-blow accounts of what is going on with the people kidnapped. But Oji, in this conversation, what we are not looking.
Hello everyone, welcome back my people. While I need never finish for Niger, and today's story will shock you. Make I tell you now, we get plenty things where they happen right now. From Nigerian students where they don't regain freedom to US lawmaker, they hail our president, and even wahala for our borders. My people, interesting days ahead. First, this big news. 100 Niger students where they missing don finally regain their freedom. According to sources, the students wey dem kidnap some weeks ago don return safely to Niger Republic. Dis one cause serious celebration online, with families dey express relief. Meanwhile, over in Western, US lawmaker dey hail President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for his leadership and foreign policies move. They claim say Tinubu dey work towards stability in region, but at the same point, some international voices dey accuse Nigeria of invasion for certain part of our neighbouring countries. Wahala no dey ever finish from Nigeria, my people. And at home here, Akpabio don mark 63 years. Politicians and Nigeria dey celebrate his milestone, while others dey reflect on his impact in our political scenes. My people, e no easy at all. Who dey involved? 100 Nigerian students from Niger, President Tinubu, US lawmaker and Akpabio. What? Kidnap student, Fred, international commendation and criticism, political milestone. When this week, latest update. Well, Niger Republic, Nigeria United States. Why? Security operation and diplomacy, political influence. Official source say the Nigerian students were freed after negotiation with local authority and security agency. Tinubu praises from the US lawmaker reportedly focused on his effort to strengthen regional operation. At the same time, some reports accuse Nigeria of overstepping in neighbouring territories, something that has happened ever since and is still continuing to spark debate. See wetin Nigeria dey talk online. Naija Gist24 said finally God don answer the prayers for Nigerian students. Long live Nigeria Security Agency. Political boss Naija come add say US don dey hail Tinubu, but we still dey face wahala for border. Make we dey watch closely. Street report come add say Akpabio as 63 abi him don really change anything for us. My people, na serious question be this one. My people, e no easy for social media. Social media don catch fire. See how people dey react anyhow. And make I tell una, this one connect with recent discussion on regional security and Nigeria diplomatic structure. The Naija students release fit set example for handling future kidnapping. Meanwhile, US lawmaker dey influence how foreign investment and aid fit flow our way. So my people, we don see how wahala dey happen from security to politics. Make una dey alert, dey watch how dis development go affect our country. Interesting days ahead, my people, for sure. Anyway, my people, make I allow una watch dis other video to the end and see how Nigeria dey talk and see how Nigeria dey react to dis video. Do not forget to like and subscribe, and I want to see your thought about this video on the comment section below. Thank you.
The tweet, just so that we can have context to what he was actually saying, praising the Tinubu administration, especially for the rescue efforts with the 100 school children that were released on Sunday. Now, Riley Moore also met with Benue State religious and traditional leaders to discuss ongoing violence in the Middle Belt region. The lawmaker posted a photo of his meeting with Bishop Wilfred Anigbe, Bishop Isaac Dugu, and James Luruza, traditional ruler of the Tiv people. Moore described the meeting as an honor, stating that Christians in the region will no longer suffer in silence and that the United States has heard their cries. Over to you.
Okay, first, I do not subscribe to the idea of anybody saying President Tinubu should resign. That's not part of the conversation. President Tinubu did not start insurgency, banditry, or terrorism. He inherited it. And if what Congressman Riley Moore is saying is anything to go by, this is a man who has come on a fact-finding mission after all that back and forth between the United States and Nigeria, saying that he is convinced that the Nigerian government is committed to open dialogue and to cooperation, and that the Nigerian U.S. Joint Working Group, chaired by NSA Nuri Badu from our side, is working. And that he believes that with the kind of dialogue that he has had with the Nigerian authorities, if some of the agreements are followed, that the Tinubu administration will be able to address some of the concerns, not just about alleged Christian persecution, but also about the security of the people of Nigeria generally. So I think Congressman Moore, said, what should be enheartening for those who believe in the progress of Nigeria and for the administration that has been making every possible effort to address the concerns of the United States as articulated by President Trump on October 31. Now, Congressman Moore was one of the two persons that President Trump gave the directive to go and investigate. Now, the other person was the chairman of the Appropriations Committee in Congress. And this is in line with his work. Now, yesterday I said, well, this investigation is coming a posteriori, after the fact, that shouldn't they have done this investigation before jumping to certain conclusions about Nigeria? But better late than never. I think there is hope in the horizon.
So, yeah.
There is established understanding. There is, some development in the direction of the cooperation that the Nigerian government asked for.
All right.
Well, typical diplomatic approach. Congressman Moore, Ambassador Richard Mills, and Balat and other members of that delegation, they also met with civil society. They were in Benue, where they met with the governor, and they met with Bishop Anagbe, Bishop Dugu, and also the Tiv, so that it's not only government side that they are listening to. However, the caveat that I added is that, okay, this is a fact-finding mission. What matters is what President Trump decides at the end of the day. When President Trump sends diplomats either to Doha, whether it's Steve Witkoff or it is his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, or it is Scott Bessent, what we always hear is that where we have to report back to President Trump. He's the one who will decide. And I hope that they will brief President Trump appropriately and make everything open, the same kind of openness that Congressman Moore is commending from the Nigerian side, that they would, and then there will be some kind of understanding, and that the cooperation that Nigeria is asking for, will be at the fulcrum of that process of collaboration and understanding.
Well said. Let's now turn our attention to reactions trailing the accusation leveled against Nigeria.
by the Confederation of Sahel States over the violation of Burkina Faso's airspace after a Nigerian Air Force aircraft carrying 11 people was forced to land in the country on Monday. In a video message, Mali's Minister of Security read out a statement by the Confederation of Sahel States condemning the violation of its airspace and the sovereignty of its member states. The Confederation described the incident as an unfriendly act carried out in defiance of international law and aviation rules and threatened to place its air and anti-aircraft defenses on maximum alert with authorization to neutralize any violating aircraft, eliciting reactions. I'll take some posts next. This person wrote, "Emergency landing or not, detaining Nigerian military personnel is an unnecessary escalation. Issues like this are supposed to be resolved through swift military-to-military communication. West African countries must stop turning brothers into enemies. Today it's Nigeria, tomorrow it could be them. Diplomacy must lead, not ego." Another ex-user wrote, "We stand with our troops. Diplomatic channels must be respected. But unjust detentions aren't the way forward. Hoping for a swift, peaceful resolution and the safe return of our personnel." Now, Ayo, we know the Confederation of Sahel States is made up of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, which formally exited ECOWAS in January following military coups and suspensions from the bloc. The Confederation says the Nigerian aircraft had an in-flight emergency in Burkina Faso's airspace and had to land, but the Nigerian plane had no authorization to fly over their territory.
So the official statement is signed by Air Commodore Ehimen Ejodame, who is the Director of Public Relations and Information. He had actually clarified what you already highlighted.
Yes.
So that was the official statement that they said they were on their ferry mission to Portugal yesterday, 8th of December. And following takeoff from Lagos, the crew observed a technical concern which necessitated a precautionary landing in Burkina Faso, which was the nearest airfield at the time. They also made it clear that this is in accordance with standard safety procedures and international aviation protocols. They also highlighted the fact that the NAV crew is safe and have received cordial treatment from the host communities. So, I mean, what we had said earlier on is that this is a statement, official statement from the Nigerian Air Force, and then there are stories around that they are being detained. According to this statement, they are not being detained. They've received cordial treatment, and it was based on an emergency landing. Some of us have been in situations where planes developed issues or passengers on the flight had issues for commercial flights. In this case, it's a military flight where you have to find the nearest, strip to land. And this is what has happened. And I think for now, I'll stand with the official position of the Nigerian Air Force until proven otherwise. But this is what they have released this morning.
Okay, very well said, very well said. Well, now in Sokoto State, several reports indicate Nigerian security forces launched an operation around 9 a.m. in the Sabon Benin forest on Monday and successfully killed 7 terrorists. According to eyewitnesses, other terrorists escaped as troops moved to capture them. The troops worked in collaboration with farmers in Fadama Tara and local vigilantes on the successful mission. Well, in light of this, let's take a moment to highlight the Nigerian Air Force and their push in fighting back against terrorism.
To be the best.
Well, for the champions. Dr. Mati was dancing behind the scenes, but we have to always find a way to, highlight the efforts of the military. I'm really excited about this incident that occurred in Sokoto State, which has been, a hotbed in recent time of, kidnappings and banditry. And it's good to see that, our Nigerian military are doing what they're doing. They're even working with farmers and vigilante groups to secure the territory. Dr. Mati, a quick word before before I go to Anambra State?
Well, I mean, just to commend the Air Force, anytime they do well. Also the armed forces,
yes,
generally, not just the Air Force. But I keep making the point that, you know, they have a tough task.
Yes.
And they are overstretched. The Nigerian armed forces, they are overworked. Now, the president has directed that they should recruit more persons. And then also, there's also the directive that anybody that is due for retirement should not go on retirement, should just stay and, you know, take on this task. But, you know, we need more boots on the ground. We need more collaboration, interagency collaboration, which was why the new Minister of Defense, General Christopher Musa, you know, was making that point about collaboration among the various agencies. And that's very important because, you know, we can't be using soldiers to do police work most of the time. So the attempt to upgrade the security agencies is very important. So when they do well, we praise them, but we should also not overstretch them.
Yes.
We should also pay attention to their welfare.
Right.
100 billion naira has been recommended, approved by the National Economic Council. That 100 billion naira should be well managed. Correct. So that there will be motivation. Ayo calls it the mindset, so that the mindset, you know, can be strong.
Absolutely.
For them to continue to serve. And training facilities and equipment should be made available.
Yes. Yes.
That is what is important.
Correct. And a quick comment in Burkina Faso, the story.
Okay, the situation in Burkina Faso, the press statement that Ayo read, you know, that's exactly what the Nigerian government has said. It was just a safety procedure. They were on their way to Portugal. But at the same time, it's good to hear that the authorities in Burkina Faso, they've been host. They've been very nice to our men. You know, the thing is, okay, the Alliance of Sahel States may have exited ECOWAS in January, but you still have to continue to engage them.
Yes.
5 out of the members of ECOWAS have military rulers, but they are still within this space. And ECOWAS made some concessions about trade, about tariffs, but we hope that someday, you know, it will be one happy community once again, as envisioned by the founding fathers of ECOWAS in 1975.
Well said, Dr. Abati, well said.